Most men move through the world of dating with a blindfold on, completely oblivious to the silent signals being broadcasted right in front of them. They think attraction is a mystery or some complicated puzzle that requires a secret code to crack. It's not. What we are discussing today isn't about manipulation, alpha posturing, or cheesy pickup lines you'd find in a bargain bin book. We are diving deep into the raw, unpolished reality of human biology and the undeniable behavioral shifts when a woman has been deprived of a real, deep, and intimate connection for a significant amount of time. Whether it's been weeks, months, or even years, the human body and mind start to react to that void in very specific, predictable ways. When you understand these patterns, the way you view your interactions with women will change forever. You'll stop guessing and start knowing. Most guys fail because they are too caught up in their own heads, worrying about what to say next, or if they look cool enough to actually look at the person standing in front of them. They miss the intimacy deficit, a state where a woman is craving that high-level masculine presence and physical warmth that she hasn't felt in far too long. This isn't just about sex, it's about being seen, felt, and understood on a primal level. If you can't recognize when a woman is in this state, you will continue to miss opportunities that are practically being handed to you on a silver platter. If you're tired the nice guy who ends up as the emotional dumping ground in the friend zone, you have to sharpen your intuition. You need to develop the ability to read the room and sense the energy before a single word is even spoken. These 5 signs I'm about to break down for you aren't based on theories or what-ifs. These are cold, hard patterns of behavior that have been observed through thousands of hours of real-world interactions and coaching. Each sign builds on the last, peeling back the layers of how she's feeling inside. Pay close attention to every detail, because the 5th sign is the ultimate game changer, the unmistakable signal that separates the men she forgets from the men she can't stop thinking about. This is your roadmap to finally seeing the truth that most men are too blind to notice. When a woman has been without a real, deep physical connection for a long time, her body enters a state that scientists and psychologists call skin hunger. This isn't some vague, poetic idea. It is a hardwired biological craving. Your skin is your largest sensory organ, packed with millions of receptors designed to trigger the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and dopamine. When those receptors aren't being activated, the brain literally starts to starve for that chemical hit of safety and desire. She won't come out and tell you she's lonely or craving touch. That's too vulnerable. Instead, her body begins to speak a secret, silent language. She will start using micro-touches to test the waters. It might be a lingering hand on your shoulder while she's talking, her thigh pressing against yours when you're sitting on a couch, or she might reach out to fix your hair or adjust your hoodie string even though nothing is out of place. The biggest mistake you can make here is dismissing these moments as just being friendly or being a nice person. When she initiates that contact, she is throwing out a high-stakes test. She is subconsciously checking to see if you're a man who is comfortable with physical tension or if you're a boy who is going to flinch and get awkward. Most guys feel that spark of touch and immediately pull away or start acting fidgety because they are scared of making a mistake. By doing that, you are failing the test. You are telling her that you can't handle the heat. If you want to pass, you have to stay grounded. When she touches you, don't move. Don't look down at your feet. Stay calm, hold the space, and let the energy simmer. When you don't recoil, you signal that you are a powerful, high-value man who is used to this level of intimacy, and that makes her feel safe enough to take things even further. As that physical hunger grows, it often bleeds into an emotional hunger, leading her to start fishing for deep validation. When a woman hasn't been truly seen by a masculine presence in a long time, she begins to feel invisible, and that creates a massive emotional void. To fill it, she will start throwing out loaded, heavy questions that seem to come out of nowhere. She'll ask things like, "Do you think I'm too much for most people? Or am I too emotional?" Most men hear these questions and immediately go into fix-it mode. They give boring, safe, nice guy answers like, "No, you're fine," or "Don't worry about what other people think." Those answers are total vibe killers. They are shallow, and they show her that you aren't actually listening to the depth of what she's feeling. She isn't looking for a logical solution or a polite compliment. She is testing your emotional spine. She wants to see if you have the strength to look into her messy side without blinking. She is looking for a man who can handle her intensity without trying to prune it down to make it more comfortable for himself. Instead of giving her a generic, "You're good" response, look her dead in the eyes and give her a real grounded observation. Tell her, "I think you feel things a lot more deeply than most people, and that's actually rare." When you acknowledge her complexity without being a pushover or a therapist, you are building an emotional bridge. You are showing her that you are a man who isn't intimidated by her emotions or her past. That level of raw, direct validation is a massive aphrodisiac for a woman who has been starving for a real connection, and it sets you apart from every other guy who is too scared to have a real conversation. When a woman has been in a prolonged state of emotional or sexual abstinence, her internal radar isn't just on, it is dialed up to the absolute maximum. At this point, her body begins to broadcast her desires through a series of micro-behaviors that she isn't even consciously aware of. She becomes a walking billboard of attraction, and if you know how to look, the signs are impossible to miss. You will see her pupils dilate until they are huge when she looks at you, a biological reaction she cannot fake or control. You'll notice her biting or licking her lips more frequently, or her fingers constantly running through her hair, or twisting a lock around her finger. She might constantly adjust her clothing, straightening her shirt, fixing a strap, or smoothing out her skirt because she is subconsciously trying to present herself perfectly to you, while simultaneously venting the nervous energy building up inside her. Every single one of these movements is a subconscious invitation. She is literally trying to pull your focus toward her, but this is where most men fall into a massive trap. They see these signs, get a rush of adrenaline, and think they need to lunge for a kiss or make an aggressive move right that second. That is the quickest way to kill the vibe. Instead, you need to understand the magnetic dance. This is the time for slow, controlled, and calculated escalation. If she leans in an inch, you lean in half an inch. If she starts speaking in a softer, slower tone, you match that pace. You aren't rushing toward the finish line. You are mirroring her energy and leading the rhythm. When you move with that kind of calm, unhurried confidence, you signal that you aren't desperate for her attention, which paradoxically makes her want yours even more. The man who can hold that tension without breaking is the man she will naturally gravitate toward every single time. However, before she ever truly lets you inside her world, she is going to put you through a gauntlet. This is what I call the ruthless testing of your emotional spine. Because she has been without a real connection for so long, she has built up a thick, protective shell to keep herself safe from men who are weak or inconsistent. Before she drops that guard, she has to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are solid. To find this out, she will poke and prod at your character. She might share a deeply vulnerable, messy story just to see if your face flinches in judgment. She might create a tiny, unnecessary bit of drama or act deliberately provocative just to see if you get flustered, angry, or defensive. She is looking for your breaking point because she needs to know if you can handle the real her without running for the hills. This is the exact moment where 95% of men completely collapse. They either shift into therapist mode and try to fix her problems, or they get their feelings hurt and start arguing with her like a child. Both of these reactions are total failures. They show her that you are easily swayed by her moods and that you lack a strong masculine center. Your only job in these moments is to stay absolutely centered. You don't need to have the answers, and you definitely don't need to get angry. Just listen, nod, and hold the space. When she realizes that her chaos doesn't shake you, it sends a powerful message to her subconscious that you are a safe harbor. That level of calm, unwavering strength is like rocket fuel for a woman who has been emotionally starved. It proves you have the spine to lead. And once she knows that, she will finally feel safe enough to open up and let you in completely. This is the final, most powerful sign in the entire roadmap, and it is the one that separates the amateurs from the experts. We call this the plausible deniability excuse. You have to understand that when a woman has been craving intimacy, but hasn't had it in a long time, she faces a massive internal dilemma. She wants to be close to you, but she also wants to protect her reputation and her own ego. She doesn't want to feel easy, and she definitely doesn't want to risk the awkwardness of a direct rejection. So instead of saying, "I want you to come over so we can be intimate," she manufactures a socially acceptable reason for you to be alone with her in a private space. This is her way of opening the door while keeping a safety net in place. If things don't go well, she can always tell herself and you that you were just there to help out. You've probably heard these excuses 1,000 times without realizing what was actually happening. She'll text you because her Wi-Fi is acting up, or she'll ask if you can swing by to help her move a heavy piece of furniture that she just can't handle on her own. Maybe she tells you she bought a new shelf and is terrible with tools, or she's too scared to watch a new horror movie alone and needs someone to keep her company. Listen to me closely. She is not looking for a handyman, a technician, or a movie critic. She is a grown woman. She knows how to call a professional or Google a solution. What she is actually doing is creating a controlled environment where the two of you are isolated from the rest of the world. She is handing you the keys to her private sanctuary because she is starving for your presence and is waiting for you to take the lead. The moment you receive that invite, your entire mindset needs to shift. Most men fail here because they show up with guest energy. They walk in acting like a polite neighbor, being overly helpful, and waiting for her to give them a signed and notarized permission slip to make a move. They spend the whole night actually fixing the Wi-Fi or focusing on the movie, and then they wonder why the vibe went cold. When you act like a guest, you are telling her that you don't have the awareness to read her signals. You need to walk through that door with the energy of a man who knows exactly why he was really invited. You aren't there to be a helper. You are there to be the masculine presence she's been missing. This doesn't mean you show up and start acting aggressive or pushy. That is a fast track to making her feel unsafe. Instead, you show up calm, grounded, and completely unbothered. You handle the task she gave you quickly and efficiently, but your focus remains on her. You use light teasing, you maintain strong eye contact, and you let the tension build naturally. You aren't forcing the issue. You are simply allowing the attraction you've built to fill the room. You stay in the moment. You read her body language, and you move with a sense of calm certainty. When you act like a man who knows his value and understands the unspoken language of the night, the excuse she used to get you there disappears, and the real connection finally takes over. This is the ultimate green light. Don't blink and miss it. The truth is, most men will spend their entire lives wandering through the dating world in a total fog, completely blind to the silent language of attraction. They fail because they operate from a place of constant effort. They are either busy chasing women who aren't interested or trying to convince someone to like them through logic and grand gestures. They think that if they just buy enough dinners, send enough texts, or act nice enough, they will eventually earn a woman's affection. But attraction doesn't work like a business transaction. It's a biological response to behavior and presence. By focusing so hard on the chase, these men miss the very real cues and invitations that are happening right under their noses. They're so busy talking that they've forgotten how to observe, and as a result, they remain stuck in a cycle of confusion and frustration, never understanding why they keep ending up in the friend zone or being ghosted. You are now in a completely different category because you have the advantage of observation. You've been handed the roadmap to the 5 most powerful behavioral signs that a woman is craving a real masculine connection. This knowledge isn't about having a secret trick or a shortcut. It's about having the awareness to see what 99% of other guys are missing. When you stop looking for things to do and start looking at what is actually happening, your entire energy shifts. You stop being the guy who is begging for a chance and start being the man who understands the room. This awareness allows you to move with a level of calm certainty that women find incredibly rare and highly attractive. You aren't guessing anymore. You are responding to reality. However, with this power comes a massive responsibility. I want to be very clear. This information is not meant to be used for manipulation, mind games, or playing with people's emotions. That kind of behavior is for weak men who lack real value. A high-value man uses his understanding of human nature to build genuine, deep, and healthy connections. When you recognize that a woman is experiencing an intimacy deficit or skin hunger, you aren't looking for a way to exploit her. You are looking for a way to meet her where she is and provide the strong, grounded masculine presence she is looking for. It's about creating a space where both of you can be seen and wanted for who you truly are. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you actually start winning. When you stop putting women on a pedestal and start reading their signals with a clear head, you stop being just another face in the crowd. You cease to be the background character in your life story, and you start becoming the protagonist she has been secretly fantasizing about. You become the man who can handle her chaos, the man who notices her subtle touch, and the man who isn't afraid of the emotional depth she carries. This shift from chasing to understanding is the ultimate game changer. It takes you from a position of weakness to a position of immense power. Use this knowledge wisely, stay observant, and keep your standards high. When you do that, you don't have to convince anyone to choose you. You simply become the man she can't help but choose.